Okay, hello, Chad. You wrote and directed the movie It Feeds, so you are
Yes.
in a very unique position to tell me what was the nucleus of this film.
Yeah, I mean, it came from a big drought of writing, to be honest. I've done a bunch of films over the years, and I think it's been about 5 or 6 years between the last film that I directed and now. There was a whole pandemic and all that stuff in between. But yeah, I produced a couple films in the meantime, but I was always trying to kind of figure out what I wanted to do next. And the idea of this kind of came from just a spark of an idea, and then it evolved into, well, one, just trying to write something that I wanted to do, that was inspired by a bunch of films that I've always loved. And, as a filmmaker, we've done a ton of films in the past and I've always wanted to do a movie like The Cell or Insidious, and also just something that's very scary. We've done a ton of films that were gross and bloody and funny and whatnot, but I don't know if we really have ever nailed like scary. So this was a goal with this one, and then man, just the idea kind of clicked one day, and I wrote it the first draft I think within a week,
Whoa,
which is so rare. Like as a writer, it's like sometimes you sit there and you work on something for years, and it just never comes to fruition. So, and then after that, worked on it with a ton of different people and getting notes and whatnot, and then it just came together and got financed with the first people that we showed it to, and boom, we made it.
amazing! In a week, that's alarming. Like how many hours you put it in one of those days?
Oh man, it was all over the place. I remember there's a big thing that happens near the end of the film, and I thought of it at like 3:30 a.m. in the morning, and just was like, I gotta get up, ran downstairs and opened the laptop, and it just it's funny how when something clicks and you start falling into it, yeah, you spiral and it just takes over your life, and it's all you can think about. So I mean, I think that week was just, yeah, madness.
That's how Werner Herzog does it. He doesn't like to sit around and brood about it for months. He just wants to get it done.
Yeah.
All right. And now that it is done, it's in the can, and it's been a little bit, like as you've said, since you've had a film in the can. How does that feel? It's about to be released. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited. We also shot this in 2023, so I mean, getting it done. I think it's been done for about a year right now, and it just kind of goes into sales and does all the business side of it, and it's finally getting released now. And man, it's just so exciting because I think we premiered it last week at Panic Fest in Kansas City, and it was the first time that I got to sit with an audience and watch it. And everyone laughed at the right spots, everyone jumped at the right spots, people cheered at moments. It was such an awesome experience just watching it with people. And now we're getting ready to just do a bunch of festivals and the Canadian premiere in the next 2 weeks. So I leave on Sunday for Brussels, and then go to Germany, and then come back here. It's also playing in Brazil, Fort Lauderdale. And then on April 16th is National Canadian Film Day, and that's going to be the Canadian premiere of it at Scotiabank Theatre in Toronto, which is sold out, which is awesome. Sold out in a couple days, which is, very exciting. We're going to have a red carpet there, and whole cast is coming. So that'll be great. And then, yeah, pretty much every night after that for the next 2 weeks is a different screening, and we're just hopping around doing Q&As and promoting the film. And then, yeah, in the US, it hits theaters on April 18th, and then VOD as well. So
That's a lot of information, and I'm
all
sure.
happening right now.
Yeah. Is it? Do you get scatterbrained? Is it sort of fun chaos at this stage?
Oh my God, every day is just absolutely insane right now. It's funny because we always do like we usually go and we make a film, and then we do festivals for like 9 months. And just the way this was set up with the financiers, we weren't actually allowed to do festivals until everything was solidified, and then they gave us basically like a 3 week window to do it, and then it's going to get released. So it's we've never had a release like this where it's so condensed. One part of it is really exciting because it's just like it's all happening right now, and it's coming in a big wave. Uh, but oh my gosh, it's our heads are spinning right now. But we can be happier. It's awesome to see it, and we're just so happy the movie's getting out there and being received well.
Tell me a little bit more broadly about the company, Black Fawn Distribution.
Yeah, so we have two companies. We have Black Font Films, which makes movies, That's what this was produced under. And then we have Black Fawn Distribution, which releases films here in Canada. So Black Fawn Distro, it's funny because sometimes Black Fawn Distro, isn't big enough to pick up a Black Fawn Films movie. Because they are two separate entities, different owners and everything. But this one, luckily, all the stars aligned, and we've been able to kind of, work with our team of people to promote it and get in theaters. I think it's going to be in about 30 theaters across the country, which is a big release for us. And then, yeah, I mean, Black Fawn Distro is just, we hit the ground, and we put out Blu-ray still. We put all our stuff across the country in Sunrises. And yeah, we're at conventions and slinging discs, and yeah, just a lot of the way we promote things and push our films is just pretty old school, and it feels unique now because nobody does it anymore. The easy way of distributing a film is just uploading it to wherever and letting it be on VOD somewhere. We still like to go do weird promotional things. We go to conventions. We dress people up in costumes from the set. We just released a movie called A Night's War, where we built part of a castle in the Apollo Theater in Kitchener, and had weapons there, swords and everything. Everyone could take photos with them, and it's all fun stuff to do. But yeah, I know we're excited to be part of It Feeds and being releasing that one here.
Nice. Sounds like a lot of fun pageantry, and definitely appreciate physical media. I think it's better than streaming. People get more emotionally attached to it, and I
Yeah,
wish more people would buy them.
yeah, and people still buy it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it's not crazy. It's amazing. You go to conventions, and everyone there is still buying physical media and still loves it, and loves to show us their collections. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome. We love it.
Oh yeah, it's not like the DVD days, but the people who do it, they're in it.
Oh yeah, we actually have a movie called The Last Video Store that we just released as well, and I have a box full of. They just arrived of VHSs, so we're releasing it on VHS as well.
Oh, that's exciting. I love that. I love
Yeah,
the VHS too for the my CRT TV
yeah,
people out there.
exactly.
I love it. Okay. So getting back to It Feeds, you said some of the films you were influenced by to an extent, and the vibe you wanted to go scary. But if you had to get elemental, say it's this movie by the way of this movie, which two movies would you use for
Yeah,
your analogy?
I mean, I kind of feel like I would say it's Insidious meets The Cell.
Okay.
Yeah, with a little dash of Nightmare on Elm Street 3, maybe, if I had to
Okay,
get
sure.
specific.
2.5.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But I mean, all throughout the movie, it's it was so fun to do because in this movie, the lead actress, Ashley Greene, she plays Cynthia, who's a therapist who can actually travel into someone's mind and deal with their trauma from the inside. So as soon as you kind of break that wall of reality, you can kind of do whatever you want, which is so exciting because one, it's always hard to write a movie that does that. Nightmare on Elm Street is like going into someone's nightmares and all that stuff. It's like it's been done and it's done so awesomely that it's hard to write something like that. This, whenever I kind of cracked it, it's like it still feels fresh and unique. But yeah, it just allowed me to kind of be like, hey, I want to bury someone. I want to do this. I want to go into a weird, crazy cave. I want to do something that feels like gothic and fantasy in a different world. I wanted to just play with set design and colors, and yeah, it was so much fun to kind of create and pull it all together, and awesome to see, be doing interviews and chatting with people about, what they picked up on, what they did in, and influences, because there's just so many of them in the film.
Awesome. And who are your favorite horror film directors of all time? Give me your perverse, your unholy trinity.
Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, I'm a huge Darren Aronofsky fan.
Okay.
I think it's really influenced me just in horror films as well because I think he has a great way of making dramas feel like genre films. And I mean, some of his films have definitely influenced me, like The Fountain, was an influence for sure in this film as well. So, I mean, I've always really loved him. David Fincher, amazing. Everything he does is So awesome. And Tarsum Singh as well. I
Who's
just
the third one?
Tarsum Singh, who did The Cell and The Fall, and unfortunately, it's like I feel like he hit a wall when he tried to do it was like a Snow White movie or something.
Okay.
Called it Mirror Mirror, and yeah, it was a big budget project for him. I think Julia Roberts was in it, and it just
Oh
did
no.
not do great. But
Oh,
man, like his attention to detail of, everything from set design to wardrobe to, you know, I think in the fall he traveled to like 23 different countries or something like that to get some of the amazing visuals that you kind of like that he pulls into that movie. So definitely I feel like he's an underrated director, and the stuff he's done has just been so awesome.
right. I like that. It was a very different list. It wasn't, Clive Barker or George Romero. It was, I like that. I like that. A little different, especially Aronofsky. I would never have guessed that. Yeah,
I mean, it's tricky because a lot of the horror films that we write and work on, it's like we really, really, we don't do many slashers or blood and guts kind of horror. It's like we really are trying to focus on creating, a horror film where you could take out all the horror and still have like an exciting, compelling movie where, you'd want to watch it regardless. And then, I mean, I feel like when you got that and then you throw in all the horror elements that you love, it just makes it stronger and stronger. And I mean, those are the films that we love to watch. Don't get me wrong, though. It's always fun to watch, some absolutely batshit horror film.
sure.
It's gory and bloody and crazy.
Both approaches are fine. All right. And I'm sure you agree that music is really integral to a horror movie, a good horror movie. Tell me about the music situation with It Fiends.
Yeah, so Steph Copeland did the score for the film. She is amazing, and I think we've done 13 or 14 films with her. She scored, everything I've done in the last 12, 13 years. And, we've grown together as well. She scored a movie called Social that I co-wrote, and Cody Callahan, my business partner, directed. And that was the first movie she ever scored. And she just did so awesome on it. She fell in love with scoring films, and since then, it's like she's exploded. She's done so well. We can barely afford to work with her anymore. But she's such a talented human being, and oh my gosh, it's I feel lucky every time that she comes on board and continues to do our films. And It Feeds is the same thing. It's just so many people have recognized the score, and all these elements need to kind of come together to make a really great film. And our DP Jeff Mahar as well, who has shot the majority of our films over the past couple of years as well, or decade at least. And his talent has been growing and growing and growing over the years. And same with Steph, and same with just so many people that we work with consistently. And all those pieces have to come together, and they have to all be awesome for a movie to really, get to that level that you want it to be at.
All right. And so since this was written so quickly, I assume you did you do an outline or did you just jump into the scenes?
You know what? I think I did a rough kind of 2 or 3 pager
Right.
before I started writing the script,
Hmm.
and it came together very quickly as well. But I really feel like it found itself in the script writing process, because there was just, you know, it was fairly simple at the start, and then I started bringing in these elements, and for whatever reason, I'm so thankful that it did. But these pieces started connecting in like puzzle pieces that were they just fit so nicely together that I was able to kind of, create something that had, all these different layers to it, and just really work to kind of, figure out the best way to kind of make those all connect and, all have reason and, still be able to do some of the things that I really love, but they don't feel like they're forced in there. So, and a lot of that as well, the first draft, I say 7 days, but after that, extensively, I probably had 30, 40 people read the script and give me notes on it and really, really workshopped it to kind of get where it was. And then also it never ends, it's like in the edit of the film as well, we're throwing scenes out and adding things in and, kind of reworking it again to kind of make it flow and do what it did. We were actually shooting it when we got it greenlit. There was this impending actor strike that happened a couple of years ago, and we had to shoot it quickly. So we went into pre-production early, we usually would have prepped for longer. We cast very, very quickly. We got everyone on set and we shot it. And I think we were days away from the strike. So when that strike happens, it's like everyone walks away. You can't do anything else. So it's yeah, it was. I'm happy that it all kind of went the way it did. But yeah, it was a lot of work very, very quickly to kind of put it all together.
Nice. What were things you generally emphasize with your actors to get the best performances possible for this film?
I think so much of it is just knowing who their characters are. We don't do a ton of rehearsals, but we do sit down and talk a lot about, who the people are and who the characters are and what their backstories are, and down to why, what kind of gum they like, what colors they like. It's like it's really, really fun to sit down and kind of, especially having a project that I wrote as well, like being able to sit there and be like, oh, this is kind of who I think this person is, and this is what their childhood was like, and and it feels like, talking through so much of that stuff just really helps them wrap their heads around it. And as far as learning lines and doing all that, I mean, they're all pros and they can learn their lines and they can get through them. But I think so much of it is just knowing who they are before, they're learning those lines and wrapping their heads around it. And being able to kind of have that whole discussion so that when you are on set and you need to kind of pull from something, it's like, you've already discussed, where that's going to pull from or how that's going to go. And as well, it helps getting to know your actors too, like just knowing who they are and, what they can draw from on a personal level too. Every actor's different and every actor, works in a different way and draws from, you know, different elements, whether it's something of like knowing who the character is and being able to imagine what, they're going through, or being able to pull from like something they are as a person and something that makes them sad or upset or afraid, or passionate. It's always so fun directing people and getting to know them and just figuring out the best way to kind of work together to achieve what you need to on camera.
All right, I love it. And if you had to pick one actor to work with, who's alive, who would it be?
Oh man, I'm sorry, I'm a diehard Tom Cruise fan. I
Ooh,
get slack over it all the time, but I mean, the guy just makes amazing movies, and they're not even the movies that I really,
right.
want to make. But and I mean, I also know don't ever meet your heroes, but
Yeah, sure.
I gotta say Tom Cruise regardless.
What's your favorite Tom Cruise movie?
Oh man, that's hard. Um, I grew up on Days of Thunder. My
Ooh, great one.
parents were big NASCAR fans, and I mean, I think I've seen that movie more than any other Tom Cruise movie ever. But
Good one to pick.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Well, Chad, thanks so much for your time. Before I let you go, tell people the best reason to watch It Feeds.
yeah. I mean, it's a Canadian film. We put a lot of heart into it. We didn't have a huge budget, and it's really it's a good time. It moves. It's scary. It's funny. It has a lot of laughs in it, a lot of big cheer moments, and you know, it's uh, it's also just supporting indie Canadian film. You know, we're all about it. It's playing National Canadian Film Day in theaters across the country. The majority of them are free as well. So if you look up, it feeds in your local area, it's probably playing somewhere.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you.